Magic the Gathering's new Baldur's Gate set is the biggest failure in the history of the game, and it's only been out for 2 weeks. How does that even happen?
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian.
My gate hurts. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered to discuss the absolute fiasco and crazy storm that surrounds Baldur's Gate. The biggest failure, in my opinion, in Magic the Gathering's entire history. It has only been 11 days from the release of the set, and it is already an abject failure. It is pretty unbelievable. Honestly, if you go back to the older days of the game, people would point to things like Fallen Empires and Homelands and say, those are the worst sets of the game. And there is an argument to be made there. Those sets are pretty awful, but at the same time, the game was new, not that big a deal, right? So overall, when you look at the long span of Magic, that was almost 30 years ago. In modern times, the most recent terrible, awful set was Dragon's Maze, right? And even Dragon's Maze is better than Baldur's Gate. Now, a little disclaimer, if you like Baldur's Gate, you like the flavor of D&D and everything like that, I'm with you. It is absolutely awesome, and that is part of the tragedy of what has happened to this set. The values on this set are so insanely low that we're living in a world I didn't even know was possible to exist in. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down step by step what happened to create the perfect storm for this Baldur's Gate scenario, because it is absolutely wild. Baldur's Gate had a bunch of internal problems with the set to begin with in terms of the way it was put together. A lot of the set is lackluster in terms of design, and they get away with the standard excuse for a lot of sets where they go, well, the commons and uncommons are basically designed for draft. So the majority of the set in that regard is a toss away. Now that is pretty normal for Magic, so that certainly isn't enough to doom a set in any regard. The majority of where a set is going to live and die is on the rares and the mythics, right? And this is where Baldur's Gate dropped the ball big time. The cards that are in this set, on one hand, are really cool from a flavor perspective. There is a lot of lore in Dungeons and Dragons, and a card as simple as Nine-Fingered Keen can have a deep, rich pool of lore behind it, which is absolutely fantastic. But if the cards made to go along with that aren't super exciting, you're going to run into a problem because there's only so much you can get from straight up D&D fans. You need actual Magic players to also be buying these sets so they don't flop, right? There's a reason that Wizards makes certain products, like for example the Warhammer 40k stuff, into a commander deck, and that's because they don't believe that there would be enough demand to support an entire Warhammer sort of like, let's do a Modern Masters based on it, right? So they skip out on doing that, and instead they make a smaller product. But with Baldur's Gate, they're going, look, there's so much depth to D&D, we can use this for Commander Legends, but they didn't bring the hype of the power level of the cards and overall exciting design to match the strength of the lore that's lying underneath. So yes, you're going to get your D&D players, but you're missing the majority of Magic players. You can see overall, there are only a handful of truly desirable cards from this set. The majority of this set is bulk. It may as well be called Baldur's Gate Bulk and Dragons rather than Dungeons and Dragons, because it's legit just full-on hardcore crammed to the brim with bulk, and you've got some nice meaty dragons. If you hit the dragons, you're doing all right. And even then, you better hope you're hitting the biggest couple of them and getting a borderless version to get any kind of value out of the set. And this is a big problem, right? When you only have a few cards that can carry the main value of a set, you run into a Jace the Mind Sculptor situation where back in the day we had Worldwake. Jace the Mind Sculptor showed up and was like, what's up? I'm the only thing that really matters out of this right now. Everything else is kind of to most people, right? So Jace the Mind Sculptor blows up in price. It turns into this huge thing, and essentially Worldwake packs, they turn into lottery tickets to get you the Jace. But there's a really big difference between the lottery ticket aspect of Baldur's Gate and the lottery ticket aspect that was back there in the day of Worldwake, and that is the intended use in formats. It's like Wizards doesn't understand that when you design a product for Commander players, you have to design a product for Commander players. They're too used to being able to lean on formats that require 4-ofs and have rotations and things like that to force you into acquiring these cards. That's what caused Jace the Mind Sculptor to skyrocket. You want a playset of these to play in Standard or Modern or wherever else, right? You don't have that going on with Baldur's Gate. None of this stuff is going to be played in Standard, obviously, because it's not Standard legal. This stuff ain't going to make it into Modern, and I don't see much of anything in there that's going to make its way into the oldest formats, except, maybe Displacer. There's a little bit. Maybe you'll find one card, but it certainly isn't enough to make the set into a big hype organism, which is what Wizards tries to do with absolutely every one of their sets, right? They try and hype them up, but then if you don't have anything underlying that hype, you're going to lose out. And that's what happens with this set, where ultimately you look at it and go, Commander players don't need 4-ofs. They need 1-ofs. And especially with a lot of these legendary creatures, you only need one. Do you want that legendary dragon? Yes, you do, as you want him for a commander. Boom. Once you have one, you're good. You don't need 4 of them like you needed Jace the Mind Sculptor. On top of that, Wizards made the biggest mistake, in my opinion, in excluding Jeweled Lotus from Commander Legends 2, right? They have made Commander Legends 1 more attractive. It has the most desirable Commander Legends card that you can get. A special Black Lotus designed intentionally for Commander, right? So instead of putting this Jeweled Lotus in the second Commander Legends as well, where you can go, hey, maybe there isn't exactly what you're looking for, but every pack has a chance of getting this Lotus, and this Lotus is massively desirable to almost every Commander player. Oh, did I get the white dragon? Well, it sucks that other people want the red or green dragon because they're playing those colors. When it comes to the Lotus, it goes into anything. My feeling is every single Commander Legend set should include an opportunity to get the Jeweled Lotus. You can do variant artworks with different commanders in them or whatever to make them a little more chase rares. You need something like that in every Commander Legends. I was literally talking to a game store owner today who's telling me, bro, people are skipping over buying the brand new Commander Legends that's right here to buy the previous one that's sitting on the back shelf because this new one is a dog. The products are being returned to the distributors already. It's not 2 weeks in. Stuff's being sent back to the distributor, which means the stores take a loss on that. They just eat the loss. Other stores have told me that they're liquidating all of their inventory at cost. So they're not losing money other than opportunity cost and everything else. But still, this is bananas. This is 2 weeks into the set, right? They have not executed on what it was supposed to be. This is a product specifically for Commander players, but it has left Commander players feeling genuinely insulted about what's happened when you turn around and look at Double Masters coming along with reprints like Imperial Seal. That's clearly for Commander. Yeah, people use them in the older formats too, but it's really for Commander because Vampiric Tutor is so much better that you would always use it over Imperial Tutor, and you can play with 4 of them, right? So you're not going to need 8 of those tutors in most cases. Imperial Seal is 100% Commander bait. Just like Dockside, right? Look at Dockside should have been in Commander Legends. Are you kidding me? It's like they lured us out with this, hey, check it out, we got a Commander-based set. And then when, actually, you know what? Like the really hot reprints that you would expect to be in here, including things like Jeweled Lotus, yeah, they're straight up not in here. But we've got some of it over in Double Masters. So the Perfect Storm timeline to hose Baldur's Gate went like this. Baldur's Gate release. Understand the release date for this set is June 10th, okay? And Streets of New Capenna drops on April 29th, right? So mid-April, before Streets of New Capenna has even dropped, there is a massive leak for Baldur's Gate, right? We're talking well over 100 cards are spoiled from the set, all across the board in terms of what you're going to see in power level and whatever else. And honestly, that was a massive blow to the hype overall of the set. What are you supposed to do in that scenario? Wizards can't put the genie back in the bottle at that point, right? Those cards are out there. They're all over Reddit. People like me are talking about them here because it's obviously incredibly exciting, right? Because we are all like, yes, 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 let us have it now. But the other side of the coin is once you actually get to the spoiler season, we've already seen a bunch of it. So the spoiler season hype is massively diminished. And I definitely noticed when I started to cover the spoilers for the new set, once we got into the traditional spoiler season, that there was already diminished interest, right? So that is a massive blow to the set. Everybody's seeing about a third of the set well over a month and a half before the set is going to be released. And then the set actually hasn't been released. It's in its pre-release stages. And by that, I mean, we're at the phase where the pre-release hasn't quite happened, but some YouTubers and others have managed to crack a little bit of the stuff. So we're seeing the beginning of the hype frenzy of openings, right? Where people are finally seeing the packs actually opened and not just going off of what Wizards is telling us about the set and digital images. But then disaster strikes, and it turns out that there is a massive leak in the form of double Masters cards showing up inside of Baldur's Gate boosters. Now this is a double whammy, right? Because it hits in two different ways. It goes one, all right? First of all, we are interrupting Baldur's Gate spoiler season. So now we're talking about the next set, which is already a really bad scenario. But then the second slam is when it turns out that the next set is way better, right? So we're dealing with a set that is much more hype beast that's coming afterwards. So you have a hype season that gets basically smashed by starting a month and a half early without being curated by Wizards of the Coast. And then you follow that up with what should be the hype frenzy of YouTubers and other people opening up your product, Baldur's Gate, getting excited about it, and then people going out to get their stuff. Instead, the conversation is solely centered around double Masters leaks. And these happen day after day after day after day. So they're drip fed out and they literally just sit on top of the Baldur's Gate release season and just elbow crush it down into the ground like you're watching the old WWF stuff, right? It is absolutely just brutal. So Baldur's Gate has no hype, which means it can only stand on the strength of its own legs. But Wizards gave it these tiny little chicken legs in the form of all the bulk that they put in there. And it's got two big beefy arms in forms of some mythic dragons, but its upper torso is too heavy. So he's just like, I want to push myself up, but my legs can't carry me. I don't got what it takes. So ultimately you end up with Baldur's Gate getting crushed down into the ground. It's a failure as a Commander Legend set because it did not excite Commander players. Ultimately, there are only a couple of cards they want out of it. This is going to turn into a vulture's feast. You can already see it, right? People are talking about, yo, the price of Baldur's Gate is tanking. I'm going to snag some up. And everybody I see talking about that isn't saying, oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this D&D stuff. This is what I've always wanted. Discount days, hooray for me. It's, this set seems like a dog, but I figure over time the stuff in it will become so hard to get that it'll be worth my money to buy it now at this discounted price and sit on it over the long term, right? And this right here, this is a big problem. Wizards of the Coast has cultivated a money mentality in Magic players. Take it from somebody who's been around from the beginning. I'm the Magic historian. I started in the early 90s where almost nobody bought singles. Yes, maybe one or two cards here or there, but almost all cards traded hands through trading. You would just swap them between each other, right? That's how we did things. But over time, it became easier for people to just pull out cell phones and go, this card is worth $4. Your card is worth $5. Give me another card that's worth another $1. Bring it together. And so slowly but surely, the conversation just became dollar to dollar, dollar to dollar. And then people started getting into the game and everything is about money. And I noticed that every new person I talked to would excitedly tell me about their new cards. But there's always a new edition now. Before it would just be like, man, I've got this big fat Sliver Queen, bro. It's this 7/7 thing, and I pay 2 mana, and it makes a 1/1 sliver token. It's so cool. Like, this thing is really neat, right? And then that morphs into, bro, I just got the sliver goat tickler, and it's an 8/8, and for 1 mana, it makes a 1/1 with first strike, and it's worth $35. Every time you hear the money, right? Wizards has built that. There are games where what they do is they go, hey, we're going to take cards that are really popular and really hard to get and have become expensive, and we're going to print them into the ground. Other card games do that so everybody can get it. You know this $100 card? Here you go. Here's a box set for $15. One's right in the front, and it comes with other packs and stuff too. Like, it's legit. They intentionally just go boom. But Magic wants to have this aura of like, yo, we are this cultured and rich crew. And on one hand, it's fine if you're going to cultivate this money mentality. I can't say that I like it more than the trade mentality, but it is what it is. But if you're going to cultivate that mentality and turn Magic into this commoditized thing and sit there and try and cultivate your own reprint value for sets like Double Masters, because make no mistake, back in the day, they used to just reprint stuff. Core sets were all reprints to get reprints into our hands. And maybe they didn't put too many amazing reprints in there, but it came out at a regular price. It wasn't an attempt to try and milk anything extra from us. And now Wizards of the Coast goes, we make these Magic cards, and because you bought them and love them so much and play with them so much, people want them. And because you guys love playing with our cards so much, this secondary market value has been created by you guys through your own desire. But now, instead of letting that natural thing take course, we just want to try and give you as little as possible so we can stretch as much reprint equity. I cannot appreciate that reprint equity is a phrase that's a part of Magic, but it is now. It is one of my little irks still where I'm like, man, I wish it wasn't the way it is in some ways, right? So you've got this situation where Wizards of the Coast goes, no, we're not going to put Jeweled Lotus in Commander Legends because it's worth too much money. That's the conversation that had to have occurred, right? They go, all right, we're not putting this in the set. It's worth too much money. We don't want to just throw that at them when we can put this as a reprint in another set where we make the price even higher, right? Double Masters is all cards they created before. They don't have to design new cards. And a lot of the artwork they use, guys, is artwork they already paid for before. So understand, all the costs for these Double Master sets, they're already paid. The only justification for the prices of these cards being as high as they are is literally because we loved these cards and enjoyed playing with them and people want them. So Wizards enforces artificial scarcity instead of just giving us access to the cards we want and making more cards. So in this environment where that's what we're being forced to deal with, it is not acceptable to have boxes where you can walk away with $10 worth of cards. That's what's happening to people, especially with set booster boxes. People are getting raked over the coals and essentially losing all their money. Now, some people will say, yo, Magic's just a game. Play it, enjoy the cards. I feel you. I like your vibe. In some ways, I'm the same. However, I'm not going to let Wizards get away with that in terms of, no, if you want to create this money culture, which they have, look at Secret Layers. It's them directly selling into the secondary market based on secondary market prices. Bitter Blossom's a great example of that. It's literally one Magic card, and they sold it for what was essentially market price at the time. They are keenly aware of the secondary market, keenly trying to milk us on the secondary market, and as a result, it is their responsibility to ensure that the boxes they are creating can deliver at least a reasonable expectation of value, not the entirety of your money back. No, it does. No, but maybe more than 10%, maybe more than 5% of the money you spent on the box, you should be able to get back out of it, considering what Magic has turned into. So Baldur's Gate can barely limp to that line, and that is why it is an absolute failure. It's supposed to serve Commander players. It does not do it very well, right? Ultimately, it fails in that regard. It fails in the box value perspective, and the player reception has been abysmal. Nobody is talking about Baldur's Gate in a positive light. Everybody is talking about how much Double Masters they want to get or don't want to get. The conversation is pretty much entirely about that. You have to understand that Baldur's Gate hasn't even been out for 2 weeks, and it's already dead. It's done. It's over. There will be very little conversation about this set anywhere aside from speculators who are trying to make some money off of this basically carcass, right? That's the situation that we're dealing with. It's an absolutely wild series of events combined with Wizards getting too greedy and designing a poor set that basically rubs players' nose in the fact that Double Masters has everything they would have wanted in terms of reprints. And to sum it up, I believe they should slam Jeweled Lotus into every Commander Legend set going forwards, because then no matter what, anybody can buy one and at least you got that lottery ticket aspect of it. That would make the set at least a little less of a problem. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts on this one, because this is a massive topic and I probably missed some aspects of it. Thanks for being here. Big shout out to my patrons. Doing a live stream tonight, I got sent a mystery package from MetaZoo. If you missed the stream tonight, I'll leave it up over on my Hatcher channel, link in the description. See you next time.